You know, one of my favorite rappers ever was King Von.
Yeah.
You had a great relationship with him, obviously.
Yeah.
Where were you when you got the call?
We was in Houston. We were shooting a video, I think. Yeah.
He was one of the most talented guys on the planet.
Somebody told me if you can copy an artist to be somebody for Halloween, you made it.
What if the fight that killed King Von wasn't a tragic misunderstanding, but a carefully planned setup? It sounds wild, but rumors like this aren't just floating around. They're shaking the entire rap community. Because if this story is true, one of hip-hop's brightest stars wasn't just taken out in a random altercation. He was betrayed by people he trusted most. Fans have debated for years whether Von's death was bad luck, street politics, or something darker. And now, shocking claims from someone close to OTF have poured gasoline on that fire. This isn't just another rap beef story. It's a tangled web of legal drama, street loyalty, federal cases, and conspiracy theories that could rewrite everything we thought we knew about that night in Atlanta. November 6th, 2020. Atlanta, Georgia. King Von had the world in his hands. Fresh off his acclaimed project, Welcome to O Block, Von was finally seeing his grind pay off. He'd risen from O Block, one of Chicago's most dangerous neighborhoods, to become one of the most respected storytellers in drill music. That night, Von was celebrating with friends at a hookah lounge. The vibe was high energy, and social media posts from earlier in the evening showed him laughing, surrounded by his crew. But elsewhere in the city, another rapper, Quando Rondo, closely tied to NBA YoungBoy, was also in town.
You guys are in the parking lot of the Monaco Lounge. Quando, I heard, didn't want to go in the club. He just wanted to sleep in the car.
Nah, my partner was sleeping in the car. He telling him to get up. We finna go inside the club.
Okay, but you guys never actually make it inside the club.
Nah, I never made it in.
You guys are in the parking lot. In the same parking lot, King Von pulls up. Someone allegedly tells Von that Quando's in the same parking lot. You ultimately see this on the video. Von gets out of the car, goes straight for Quando, and just starts hitting him. There were no words that were said between the two. It seemed like Von just went straight at him and just started attacking him. What went through your head?
It was just like a shock. It's like, shoot, I was on the phone when it first happened, and I didn't even see him even walk up. And I didn't even know it was even him. We just got here, so I knowing he ain't did nothing to nobody out here for somebody to really want to do something to him. So in my head, just going through my head, it's like, why somebody want my little brother? I'm gonna protect the person.
What happened next unfolded in seconds, but would haunt hip-hop for years. Surveillance footage shows Von suddenly approaching Quando in the parking lot, seemingly out of nowhere. The two exchange words. Von threw a punch, and chaos erupted. Within seconds, gunfire rang out. Von was hit multiple times. He was rushed to the hospital, but the injuries were too severe. He died that night at just 26 years old. Social media exploded with videos from the scene. News outlets reported that Rondo's associate, Timothy Lil Tim Leaks, was charged with Von's killing, but released on bond shortly after, claiming self-defense. Most headlines portrayed the tragedy as a senseless fight gone wrong. Another young rapper lost to the streets. Another talent silenced too soon. But while the world mourned, some fans began looking closer, and the details didn't add up. What really made people suspicious wasn't just Von's sudden death. It was what happened after. At the time of the shooting, Von and Lil Durk, his close friend and OTF label boss, were facing serious charges. In 1919, both were arrested for a shooting and attempted robbery outside a nightclub. Prosecutors claimed Durk fired a gun during the incident, and Von was allegedly involved. Both rappers faced decades in prison if convicted. Then, just months after Von's death, something unexpected happened. All charges against Durk were dropped. The prosecution suddenly lacked sufficient evidence, and Durk walked free. Fans couldn't ignore the timing. Von was dead, unable to defend himself, and suddenly Durk, who had the same charges, was cleared. Not only that, Durk's career skyrocketed. He dropped heartfelt tributes to Von, his fan base grew exponentially, and he became one of the top artists in hip-hop. Coincidence? Maybe. But in the streets, coincidences often spark rumors, and this was no exception. the narrative began forming. Von's death didn't just devastate his camp, it benefited others. That narrative would become the foundation for even wilder allegations. By 2022, whispers about Von's death weren't just fan theories anymore. They were turning into serious investigations. What many thought was a tragic night in Atlanta began looking more like part of a bigger street war playing out behind the scenes. Not long after Von's death, Quando Rondo became a marked man in the eyes of Chicago street circles. Tensions between his camp and OTF only grew, and by August 2022, those tensions exploded when Rondo's close friend and cousin, Lil Pab, was shot and killed during an ambush in Los Angeles. According to reports, Pab and Rondo were stopped at a gas station when a group of armed men opened fire in what appeared to be a targeted attack. Federal authorities quickly got involved, treating the case as more than just a random shooting. Their investigation pointed toward a carefully planned retaliation, a suspected murder-for-hire plot tied directly to OTF members. Prosecutors claimed there was evidence of label funds being used to bankroll the operation. They highlighted travel records, suspicious cash transactions, and alleged communication between OTF affiliates, painting a picture of an organized effort to send a message. Suddenly, this wasn't just about one tragic night. It was about a web of violence stretching across states, with Von's death at the center of it all. The case raised major questions. Was Von's death the spark that ignited a dangerous cycle of revenge? Or was it part of a much deeper chess game already in motion? For fans who followed drill culture closely, this was confirmation of what they'd suspected. Von's story wasn't over, and the truth about that night might be buried under layers of retaliation, secrecy, and high-level maneuvering. And that's when the story took an even darker turn, thanks to one man who decided to go public with explosive claims that would shock the entire hip-hop community. Earlier this year, a man claiming to be the father of OTF affiliate Vonnie shocked the internet with allegations that turned the narrative upside down. In a live-stream interview, he alleged that Lil Durk ordered King Von's death. According to him, his son, who was allegedly close to Von and rumored to be part of his team, was involved in the setup. The man claimed he personally accompanied his son during a mysterious cash handoff to Lil Tim months before Von's murder. He described a chilling phone conversation where Durk allegedly asked Vonnie if the door was open, and Vonnie replied, "It's off the hinges." To him, this wasn't street drama. It was a calculated move. He even suggested Durk had a financial motive, hinting at insurance money or industry pressure. Whether true or not, the details were vivid enough to capture the internet's attention. Clips of his live stream spread quickly, fueling conspiracy theories that Von's death was less about random violence and more about betrayal from within. At this point, the story sounds like something out of a thriller movie, but is there any truth to it? So far, there's no hard evidence connecting Lil Durk to Von's murder. These allegations come from one man's testimony, not police reports or official investigations. Even he admitted in the live stream that he didn't realize the full context of the cash handoff until much later. Still, the story exploded online because the details felt too coincidental to dismiss. Von's death cleared Durk of serious charges, and his career skyrocketed. The supposed revenge attempt in 2022 tied OTF to organized violence, deepening the mystery. Even without proof, the timing and narrative were enough to make fans suspicious. And once conspiracy theories start, they're hard to stop. Betrayal stories in hip-hop aren't new, which is why the rumors about Von's death feel so believable to many fans. By late 2020, Von wasn't just another artist. He was exploding in popularity and quickly becoming a star who could rival Lil Durk himself. In industries where fame and money move fast, success can spark jealousy and power struggles. Von's rise meant OTF's dynamic could shift, with him becoming the face of the movement. That kind of pressure can create tension, even among friends. Hip-hop history is full of tales of artists backdoored by people they trusted. So when fans saw how quickly Durk's career took off after Von's passing, speculation only grew. The narrative that Von's death was part of a bigger plan felt possible because it fit the ruthless reputation of the industry. There's no proof of this theory, but the timing, the rise of Durk's career, and the pattern of events keep people questioning what really happened behind the scenes. The timeline of events feels almost too coincidental to ignore. Von dies in November, 2020 at the height of his career. Soon after, Lil Durk's serious legal charges quietly disappear. Durk's fame skyrockets, and OTF becomes one of the biggest movements in hip-hop. Federal investigators start looking into OTF's alleged ties to organized crime, and now, a father tied to the crew claims Von's death was planned from the inside. In an industry where betrayal stories are common, this sequence of events feels like part of a bigger game. Fans online have dissected every detail: Von's last tweets, old interviews, and even his decision not to carry a gun that night. Some say that detail alone suggests he felt safe, making the betrayal theory even more compelling. Whether these dots truly connect or not, the pattern they form is haunting. To many fans, Von's death doesn't feel like a random act of violence. It feels like a move in a much larger, calculated plan. It's easy to get lost in conspiracies and drama, but this story is also deeply tragic. Behind every headline is a family still mourning, a community still hurting, and a music scene that lost one of its brightest talents. Von wasn't perfect. He lived a life that reflected the harsh realities of Chicago's streets, but that authenticity made him beloved. His music wasn't just entertainment, it was a voice for people who grew up in the same conditions he did. Even the man making these allegations admitted it's tearing him apart. To believe his son helped set up someone he considered family is heartbreaking. True or not, it's a reminder of the personal toll this violence takes, and while the internet debates theories, Von's loved ones live with the reality of his absence every day. So, was King Von's death just a tragic fight, or a carefully orchestrated betrayal? Right now, there's no definitive proof, just rumors, allegations, and a timeline that raises uncomfortable questions. But one thing is clear: Von's death changed everything. It reshaped Chicago drill, boosted Durk's career, and left fans with more questions than answers. In a world where power, money, and street politics collide, it's easy to see why people believe this story could be true. And maybe that's the real tragedy, not knowing who to trust or what really happened. If this is just a conspiracy theory, it's one of the most dramatic in hip-hop history. And if it's true, then the story of King Von isn't over. What do you think? Was this all just bad luck, or is there a deeper game at play? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation isn't ending anytime soon.